Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. Wonder Woman has barely wrapped production, and already Patty Jenkins is already talking about Wonder Woman 3. Oh, this is coming from Variety, Vanity Fair, where she discussed her new TV project, which is I Am the Night, which appears to star Chris Pine and using a lot of her staff members that she used for Wonder Woman 1984. This is what she had to say. Not much to go on, but this is what she had to say. I have pretty clear plans for Wonder Woman 3, said Jenkins. Whether I direct it or not, I see how her arc should end in my incarnation of Wonder Woman. I have great passion for that. So she ultimately knows it would be great to have a trilogy. It makes sense. But like Warner Brothers has said, they're going to work on one movie at a time, meaning they're going to see how Wonder Woman 1984 is a success or not. That will determine if Patty Jenkins comes back. They're playing cautious again. They're being the cautious Warner Brothers again. But in that essence, they're not going to make it like, they're not going to put timelines so far out there saying that you're going to be making this, making that, making this. That could be a sign of weakness, if you will, because they're not confident in future projects. But I think they are trying to take a step back and trying to figure out what they really are, and they're slowly doing that. So Wonder Woman 3 will be quite interesting. I want it to be in the present time. I want to know what happens to Wonder Woman after Justice League, or, Snyder Cut of Justice League. But I want to know the present moment of Wonder Woman, and how her arc would change from Wonder Woman 1 to 1984 and ultimately to number 3, which I still kind of say that her arc pretty much ends in Batman v Superman, and she's the way she is in that. We won't get to know what she really was intended to be in the Snyder Cut until we actually see the Snyder Cut. But until then, we have another movie coming out, and the one that's coming out much quicker than Wonder Woman 1984, or 3 for that matter. Shazam. Shazam is coming out. They've had a set visit with, your old friends in Collider and all the other crew. But they've had a set visit, and they revealed a lot of things. A lot of spoilery things, if you ask me. So I will link the description to that set visit with David Sandberg's interview. But I don't think I want to tell you too much about it. It's not too much, but I've been called spoiler person for a long time, so I'm not going to do that anymore. But the Shazam director does discuss how this movie will stand on its own, right? So this movie's mostly just about introducing Billy Batson and Shazam and who he is, how he came to be. It takes place in the DC world where all these heroes exist, but in some ways it's both sort of self-contained while also being a part of something bigger. But yeah, that's not a non-answer, says David F. Sandberg. You don't have to have seen any of the other films because it's its own contained story. It is more the world of it that's part of a story. So just like how Wonder Woman, we didn't have to watch Batman v Superman. It's kind of a nice addition to it. That's the way we know that she's talking to Bruce Wayne, because that happened in Batman v Superman. But for the most part, you didn't really have to know that. You could have came in clean, off the slate, Wonder Woman, and you understood what it was. Aquaman, you didn't really have to know who Aquaman was. It's kind of great that we kind of saw him in BVS a little bit, then we saw him in Justice League, and then we got Aquaman. But for the most part, if you came in Aquaman with watching anything else, you'd pretty much understand it right away. Same as this, Shazam. We haven't got teased anything about Shazam. This is going to be the first time we actually see Shazam on the big screen, so it's going to be something different. This is going to be different from the other heroes so far, their other solo films. We've seen Wonder Woman before Wonder Woman. We've seen Aquaman before Aquaman. We have not seen Shazam before Shazam. So this is going to be the first, pretty much like Suicide Squad, the first time we've ever encountered this person, this character, fresh, without having seen anything from before. And so that is exciting in itself to see how this world and what he's going to do with this world. Now, we know from the trailer, the script, and some teases, things like that, that there would be a lot of these little things hinting at the world that he exists in, which includes Superman, includes Batman, includes Wonder Woman, all these characters within this world, and his own friend who collects all these little memorabilias and these things like the Batarang and news clips and stuff like that. So it's very much involved in here. It's like a kid being in the superhero world of the DCEU and looking around and like, yes, this does exist, but I am my own person. I am walking through this world, and fortunately, I became a hero myself. So I like to think Shazam is like most of us, full-fledged adult bodies with a child heart. And so for people who like me, like I want to be like Superman, I think I'm more like Shazam because I'm a kid at heart with a big grown-up man's body. So I find this can be really special. Christmas time timeline, hitting the malls and things like that. It's just the kind of movie for this type of audience, and I think I could appreciate that. There's so much worlds in the DCU that there's a little bit for everybody, but I think adults gonna like this too, especially some Man of Steel. Some stuff I've seen, I think we're gonna be very appreciative and finally see another flying superhero action movie. You know, there's not many flying superhero action movies, you know what I mean? So it's great to see that type of movie once again. A little bit about, he talked about Henry Cavill. So this is apparently, I couldn't find the original, but this is apparently Collider or someone asked him about Henry Cavill a little bit, and I think they were trying to be snideful. They said something about tell that to Henry Cavill, and Zachary Levi just shot back and says, well, but he's still Superman. He's still Superman. Just because they haven't gotten around to making another standalone Superman movie doesn't mean he's still not Superman, and doesn't mean he's still not killing it as Superman. Doesn't mean everybody doesn't still love him as Superman, right? So there goes another actor who is coming out and actually acknowledging that Henry Cavill is still Superman, which makes sense because there's so many articles and so much media and so many blogs out there that are saying that Henry Cavill's not Superman. But when you come down to it, Danny Garcia, Henry Cavill, in a way, sort of, kind of say that he's still Superman. They are still, the contracts are still possibly active, right? So in a way, it's kind of reassuring to hear Jason Momoa say this, reassured to hear that Zachary Levi is saying this, even though we don't have an official word that he is still Superman. But at the same time, we don't have an official word that he's not Superman. So which one do we believe? That's up to you. But I just want to point that out, that unofficial and official, we haven't heard anything. He played Superman. In this case, just like Zachary Levi said, just because he hasn't made another Superman movie doesn't mean he's not Superman. Captain America is not making another Captain America movie. Doesn't mean he's not going to be Captain America. Iron Man, everybody's Black Panther. He's not going to be Black Panther 2 yet, or I don't know if they have announced it. Doesn't mean he's not Black Panther. You know, those are the cases right now. But we'll see. We'll have to see what happens with that. And but it's very exciting as well. I would also like to point out that in Shazam, because it's the first known hero, first character not part of Justice League, of course, it's New Line Cinemas. We won't actually know if Shazam was even part of the whole Zack Snyder idea if you care. But apparently Aquaman was, right? And we know that. He wasn't Justice League, he wasn't BVS. But I think the argument here was that, wait a minute, I think James Wan really changed the character, really updated his costume to what James Wan wanted, dismissing what Zack Snyder wanted. But our good old friends over at DC Films Hub, John Aaron Garza, was able to dig up these interesting and great pictures of concept designs for Aquaman. Not for Aquaman, but for Justice League. The costume designer is, of course, our favorite Michael Wilkinson. And you look at the designs, these designs, they were originally intended for Justice League Aquaman, Zack Snyder's Aquaman, had that gold body, had that green pants, looks just like, with some modifications, like James Wan's Aquaman. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that Zack Snyder would have intended to have this costume? He would have done this? Now, what does this tell you? This tells you that James Wan's Aquaman adopted the original concept for Aquaman in Justice League because Zack Snyder wanted James Wan to be able to evolve this character for his solo movie and get that costume for his solo movie. Just like how he said he was allowing the Flash directors, whoever is going to take on Flash, to evolve that to the costume to the first movie. That's why Flash was in his prototype costume. He would have evolved into another movie. James Wan asked Zack Snyder, hey, can I be the one to introduce Atlantis? He probably asked, can I be the one to introduce this costume as well? So you can see here that they really did work together, and it's not like James Wan hated that or scrapped the idea. It looks like this was to be an evolved concept plan for his costume design afterwards. So this is great. This should put a little bit of a halt to people who are saying that Aquaman is a totally disrespecting Zack Snyder. I think you might be wrong about that, as Zack Snyder has been championing Aquaman this whole time. So, but maybe this will put a little bit of that to bed, right? Speaking of Justice League, all right. Now I know you guys are. They're only like a minute part of you, maybe like 2 or 3 people, maybe the 20 people who dislike my video, that don't want me to talk about Justice League anymore. But there are a ton of you that still want me to talk about Justice League. And there's a ton of you that like the tinfoil stuff. And I haven't done one in a while. But this one's interesting. Our own Lord Paulus Returns has shown up back on my YouTube channel. And he has been for a while. I've read some of his things. But this one is particularly interesting because Thiago Caselli, he posted this on Vero, right? And it's just a snapshot of a comment, Lord Paulus's comment on Vero, right? And I'm going to read it to you here. Many work news on my end, so the time is very limited. About this matter, the healing, this is on my, I forgot what video I put this on. But anyway, about this matter, the healing process started almost a year ago with the cleansing of the house from bottom to top. Walter Amada then steps in and gets Snyder back on the fold. Internally, they knew that the whole MCU universe clone was a mistake. Since that time, many things did change. Snyder is keeping in the shadows to get his stuff in order. The finishing of his Justice League cut, the new production and content company Stone Quarry, and the production of high-level profile movies. For those who don't know, during principal photography and even after that in post, James Wan shared footage and ideas about the Aquaman movie to Zack Snyder to shape the movie by removing the effects of Joss Whedon Justice League to Arthur Curry character. There is more serious and pressing move that drives the Aquaman and not so much stupid jokes and sexualized lines to Mera, for example. So that now is kind of iffy because I've talked about that and he's just responding to what I've talked about, right? So, if he had said that before I've said anything, then yeah. But let's keep going. The idea is to be able to interconnect the future Snyder Cut on the current MCU movies released so far. There were an addition. There were an initial idea of expanding the story arc of the Snyderverse to include not 5 but 6 movies, which is what that Neil Daly person has said. Now, like I said, this could be in response to what I've talked about in that video. So nothing too special there, unless he felt that he wouldn't be able to talk about it until it came out. 3 are already done if we include the Snyder Cut. The other 3 are Man of Steel 2. And he put dates on here, which is interesting. 2020. Justice League 2 Part 1, 2021. And Justice League 2 Part 2, 2021. All of the 3 directed by Zack Snyder. This was put on limbo during the last year, but seeing the Snyder formula do work. My sources have told me that they have been internally greenlit. Okay, so a lot of you would dismiss that for sure. You know, even I looked at that and I'm like, well, that's cool. I wish that happened. I wish that happens. What world would that happen in, you know? But of course, Thiago Caselli put it on Vero, and he just put that snapshot, you know, just for fun. And well, I don't know. Zack Snyder liked it. Yeah, Zack Snyder liked it. He did. Now he unliked it afterward, which is also interesting because I've seen him do that. He likes certain things, then he unlikes them a while later. But he likes it first, then unlikes it, right? And for the most part, when Zack Snyder likes something, I could totally understand, especially some of my videos where he liked and unliked. You see him like it, and I figured he likes the thumbnail. The thumbnail looks nice, you know, it's not my work, you know, but it looks nice, so he liked it. Maybe the art part of it, right? He liked it. Why would he like a snapshot of a comment of just words? There's nothing artistic about it in order to like. Now, Thiago also said that maybe he read some of it, liked it, and then he read the other parts and like, well, that's not what I wanted. So he unliked it. That could be true as well. And that's why this is tinfoil. We like to speculate on all types of stuff. And even though it's a small thing like this. But if you're still here, keep going. Zack Snyder could have liked it because it's true. That all of it is true. And then, like all his other ones that he liked, he better unlike it because he doesn't want to be caught by Warner Brothers or whatever. Right? So that could also be true. And I always like to point out that, you know, the heart is right there. Maybe he was scrolling and actually liked it. I don't know. But it is interesting. It is interesting that he would have caught on to this. If he did intend to like it, intend to read it, then he read it and he liked it. And one, he decided to unlike it just reading the bottom part where it's like, well, that's not happening, so I unliked it. Or 2, because he didn't want to get in trouble and want to give people's hopes up. Of course, Thiago already took a picture of it, of him liking that snapshot. In fact, in notifications, I think even if you unlike it, you can still see who liked it first. So whether that's true or not, that is up to you to decide if you believe it or not. But I am very hopeful. It sounds like a dream. Can you imagine Zack Snyder doing Man of Steel 2, Justice League 2, Part 1, Part 2? That is a dream. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know. But right now, I just want to see the Snyder Cut. That is the closest possible dream that could come to fruition more than any of those other movies. So that's what I'm fighting for right now, the Snyder Cut. But it keeps me hopeful that Zack Snyder is part of a larger scheme at things. Who knows? But I am hopeful indeed. And for people who just want to be part of a survey, right? And this is from Mick D. I've talked about this before. I'm going to put the link again in the description. There's a survey here which needs promotion by us. The survey will precipitate a wider global ground campaign to advocate for the Snyder Cut release, including on the big screen. It's a short survey. Go in there, just fill it out, and just be part of this. I don't know how many people are right now on there, but to promote and to want to see the Snyder Cut, or where do you want to see the Snyder Cut? I put big screen. Hey, I want to watch it in theaters. I don't know about you and me. I want to watch in the biggest screen possible, IMAX, whatever you have, the most expensive reserved seating with a popcorn and everything, and I'm going to be there with my kids, and it'll be fantastic if that were to come true. All right, guys, well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.